Welcome to Forfelliness Belly Sting. A show dedicated to aligning a journey to a better mental health using the understandings of the ancient Norse. Join us each weekday morning at 7 a.m. Alaska time. Someone's little girl, daughter, sister, girlfriend, fiance, wife, cousin, mother, auntie, grandmother, great grandmother, elder, disappears, shattering, a family, a community, the world. There is something we can all do. Remember them. Look at that.
Today, we send energy to those who are finding their way. May the roads be cleared for you on your journey. God morgen and happy Thor's Day to you. Today we celebrate the energy and the strength of the Norse god Thor. He brings much into our lives, so let's talk about it. Before we get started today, I want to say thank you to all of you who have liked, followed, and subscribed. Without you, without your support, this show would just cease to be. So thank you so much for joining us. Whether you be on the audio platform or the video platform matters not. Or whether you joined us at our friends and family at New Reality TV, newrealitytv.com, of course, a new streaming channel dedicated to a plethora of perspectives of our spirituality that hopefully will just resonate with you and provide you with that piece of intellect that you need to feel successful and move forward in your life along your path. If you do find yourself with questions about me, my show, my teachings, pretty much anything about me, including my life coaching services, and if you'd like to provide some financial support to the show, by all means, visit our website at norsewhispers.com, and there you'll find all you need to know about me and my shows, and certainly a location now at which you can provide fiscal support for the show and our teachings. So please visit often and donate as much as or as little as you'd like, as often as you'd like. Every little bit goes to help us just push this message out even further. So be sure to visit. If you hadn't had a chance to like, follow, and subscribe yet on whatever platform you happen to be listening to us on, by all means, please feel free to do so. Hit that button and ring those bells, as it were, and so you will be alerted to each and every broadcast that we put out. So check those out, and please join us. Today we're talking about the strength of Thor, and well, the Norse god Thor had his ample share of physical strength. He also possessed and modeled for us this matter of mental strength, and that a lot of times Thor would go into, as described in the battles, or in the sagas, he would go into battle convinced that he had already won. He was already there. He was already victorious. And his body then did the things that were necessary to join his thought process. And so this should be a model as to our lives and to making decisions. And one of the greatest, I guess, gifts that I've received along my shamanic journey as I've journeyed far and wide, both extrinsically and intrinsically, of course, is this understanding that I possessed the authority. Yeah, maybe authority is a good word. The authority to deny energy, to not allow this energy of negativity, of toxicity, of unwanted energies to enter into my thought process, enter into my emotional processing, that I possess the ability to say no, to deny it. This was incredibly liberating. If you think about it for a minute, and your whole life, you were raised in a very toxic environment. A lot of negativity, negative energy coming in the form of audio or visual, and this energy is being processed into our mind and processed through our emotions, and it's generating a certain amount of chemical composition within our bodies that then the brain, of course, recognizes as a particular emotion. And it's constantly negative. But one of the greatest gifts I got in all of my learnings, all of the trances and all of the psychic channeling that I've done, was this idea that there was this last stop that each experience has, right? Each experience brings in this idea that last gate, as the experience comes over, and here's memories, and it's just about there's a gate that this experience and the energy associated with it has to pass through. And that energy, or in that gate, is called the me gate. And the me gate is a very powerful piece that all of us have within our mind. The me gate is a visual that my ancestors would give me, would be a gate where it has like the poles in it, right? And as you close it, those poles are going to line up precisely with emotional energy coming from, remember the horn of feeling? Okay, so the energy is coming out of there and it's on its way to memories. And here's this gate that it has to pass through. And as we close the gate prevents the emotional energy transmitting with the experience. It blocks that emotional energy right there. Stops it. Then we have the ability to put our own narrative, our own energy into the experience. So if we don't want to experience negativity and toxicity and unwanted thoughts and feelings, we don't have to. We can just say no. That's a powerful tool, right? That is a very powerful tool, is the fact that we can deny that which we don't want. No one can make you feel a certain way. No one can make you feel bad. No one can make you feel good. No one can make you feel anything unless you allow it. You have to allow it. We have to kind of let that out and say, okay, fine, whatever, right? For us to feel what they're selling. Because remember, everything from outside is influential energy. So it's just being provided in an attempt to sway us, in an attempt to change our mind, our direction, our beliefs, our virtues, our values. So these energies are pummeling our sensory input in an attempt to change our mind. We can say no. Sometimes we say no to the things that we really want. Sometimes, for whatever reason, our brain may say, it's time to be happy and comfortable and harmonious and relaxed. And then our me gate comes up and says, no, we're going to be depressed. Okay. You made that choice. Nothing around you, nothing else made you close that gate. You did it. So when we think about our mental health and the mental space that we try to maintain throughout our lifetime, the idea that we're in charge, that we're managing it, that we're actually allowing or not allowing certain energies to come into our memories. Because remember, whatever comes into our memories is kind of fed back in that reverse channel and fed in using imagination. Now, the amount of imagination that's injected in each sensory input could vary in size, right? We could allow quite a bit. And that can kind of run over what we're actually seeing, what we're actually hearing, what we're actually experiencing. Is when our imagination kind of runs away with us, right? And we are imagining more than we're actually bringing in a sensory input. So when we think about processing this stuff, controlling that gate into memories controls the energy that's then transmitted forward in the imagination into the sensory input, thereby altering the further tracks, right? Because think about this in a cycle. Now, this happens a million times a day, but think about energy coming out of the horn of feeling, right? Coming into the gate, and we allow it, we'll say, just for sake. And then it goes into memories, and it comes all the way back. It comes in, sensory input then goes down to the emotions come up, back to the horn of feeling then converts it over to energy, which then passes it through the me gate, and the cycle continues. So when we think about managing that me gate, this is another tool in that series of steps that we are controlling or can control our thoughts, thereby our interpretation of the reality that we just experienced. This is a cycle, and we've spoken about many other parts of this equation when we talk about, like, for example, the other day we spoke about the mood ring and how the mood ring just sets right behind our sensory input. Our sensory input, which is then mixed with imagination, is then fed through this mood ring of what our previous emotional state is, i.e. what mood we're in, which then contorts the experience before dropping it into the well of the self, where it's now going to go through our values, virtues, and belief systems and be converted. And then that manipulated edition of our experience is then converted into biochemistry. Biochemistry then comes up through the body. And remember, as it's coming up through the body, that chemical composition is now essentially absorbing what's ever in the bloodstream already. So this is where our memories, or our experiences, I should say, are contorted by the potentiality that we have some other substances within the body, right? So we happen to have taken a little bit too much mead and got that, thing going on. It alters our blood, right? It alters the body, the physical body, which thereby alters this chemical composition coming up from this, from our heart back into our brain, where our brain then interprets now the, once again, modified version of the experience, converts it back into energy, passes that energy now to the me gate, where we get to decide or not. Many people just simply allow it to kind of roll. But we have a choice. We can actually stop the emotional energy before it arrives at the memory, and then the memory, of course, sends it back and into imagination, in which case the cycle starts all over. So there are a multitude of places along this thought process that we have the potential of controlling our experience of reality. The first we've spoken about, and that's that mood ring. It literally can remove things from our view, even though we could be looking right at it, because our emotional state is set in such a way, our experience is going to remove that object from the converted, because remember, we're taking an extrinsic object and we're going to convert it in the eye into electric signaling so that it can be transmitted over the optic nerve into the brain. So we have a lot of processing going on here, and it's going to come all the way through. And that mood ring, if we're set in a good mood, obviously, we're going to see more things that promote that. So more like things within the experience that we have of reality. If we're in a bad mood, same thing applies. We're going to kind of highlight those things that support our thought process. Right? Thought comes through, down into the heart. The heart then releases in a physiological way, really in your body. Your heart will then release certain hormones into the bloodstream with a certain level of chemistry, right? A certain piece. And those are going to filter up. And again, they're going to filter through what's already in the body. They're going to arrive at this thing that my ancestors called the horn of feeling, where that energy, that biochemistry, is now converted back into bioelectricity in a very certain way. And here, within the horn of feeling, obviously, we're going to recognize the importance and the value of this thing that we call silt that sits along the bottom. Silt is essentially, it is biochemistry presented with the biochemistry for interpretation, but it is when our minds avoids our authentic self. So think about the channel between the mood ring and the well of the self, going through our physical or our beliefs or virtues or values. As that comes down through there, if we decide, as an example, that we're going to avoid that, and we're going to take a left here, right? And we're going to come out kind of the side, if you will, of the well of the self. That's going to produce this level of silt. Now, what's that do in a big picture of things? Yeah. What it does do is, in the horn of feeling, it's going to deposit in the bottom of the horn, which means now we have less room to convert the biochemistry back to bioelectricity. Okay? So we have less room. And what most often happens when we talk about that is the emotional energy doesn't change. So as this biochemistry comes into the horn of feeling, and it's going to erupt, and it's going to just expand over the rim of the horn, what we find most often is that two things are really applicable here. The first thing is we've eliminated our cognitive space, which is the very top of the horn, which allows us to kind of control it. right? And for those of you who have listened to the show, I use the analogy of a mug of root beer, right? And so we're pouring in the root beer and the foam is coming up. A very similar visual. And so much like pouring root beer into a mug, we can control the flow of the root beer, right? We slow it down. Well, we don't want the foam to go everywhere. And or if we're in a hurry to have our root beer, a lick of the finger into the foam, and the foam begins to settle down because of the salt and the saliva. It'll actually minimize that foam, so that foam will kind of control. So we can keep the foam in the mug, or in this case, in the horn of feeling. We'll contain this energy by just tamping it down and just maintaining this level. So it doesn't overflow, because if it overflows, this is where we find that we have physiological symptoms of stress. We have, rapid heart rate, rapid breathing, sweaty bodies. We have anxiety attacks, panic attacks. We have, just other physical symptoms of stress. Because when this energy comes out of the horn and it hits this surrounding brain tissue, the surrounding brain tissue doesn't know how to deal with the energy. So as this energy comes out, it's just trying to manage it, so it's going to fire off with what it does, trembles, whatever. These are all physiological symptoms of this energy overflowing the cup, or the horn of feeling in this case. So by being able to manage it, by maintaining our cognitive space at the top of that horn, we're able to manage it. And most importantly, by being our authentic self, we're removing the silt from the bottom of the horn, giving us more space to process emotional energy, right? So we can pour in more root beer, so to speak, in helping process through these emotions while maintaining our cognitive space. Now, this is all ways, methods that you and I can control the emotional states that we find ourselves in, and certainly the emotional conversions that are necessary for our brains to now receive memories. All right? So super important. So we're talking about the strength of Thor, using it as a role model for our mental strength as well. Let's take a real quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about how you and I can make sure that our thought process and our path is as clear as it can get, so that we can be as emotionally clean, if you will, so that we're maintaining a better mental space. We're going to take a real quick break. We'll be right back.
The air. The time is now.
We're all waking up.
We're waking up.
We're all waking up.
It's all shifting.
New vibrations.
It's you.
It's you.
It's me. It's all of us.
Together.
A new time.
A new day.
A new energy.
A new energy.
New reality.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
Awaken with us.
newrealitytv.com.
Welcome back. Thank you for taking that quick break with us, and thank you so much for just being here with us today. Hopefully we're giving you some ancestral illumination to help you on your journey today, that you can actually apply today. So let's talk momentarily about some steps that we can use today to kind of reframe the energy that's coming into our brain every minute of every day, and recognize some of our own superpowers. So, as we talked about in this whole presentation, we've talked about energy coming into our sensory input. And one of the first things that's going to pass through is our mood ring. The mood ring, of course, is we set. When we wake up every morning, we open our eyes and we're expecting, we set some level of expectation for the day. This is where we're going to set our mood. Are we in a good mood? Is it optimistic? Is it, are we really excited about it? Are we ready for it? Or is it really not so? is it really, yeah, all right, whatever. I got to do this, so let's do this. Or, we drudging today, or are we hopeful for the experiences? This really sets the tone for what you see, because remember, that ring of emotional state, that mood ring, is going to alter your experience of reality. So it literally will change what you see, feel, and hear, and smell, and taste, right? It's going to alter that because it can, because that's what the mood ring is for. Is your mood ring is, think of it as an extension of the fight or flight syndrome, right? So it's kind of predicting what we're going to need, and imagination is going to feed into that, but we're kind of setting that to what we need to see, right? So how are people going to try to attack me today, right? How are the predators trying to get to me today? So I'm setting that as my mood, and that then alters the way my brain interprets the physical reality I experience, all right? So setting that mood in the right way, starting out first thing in the morning, as soon as you open your eyes, you're, setting that mood to be hopeful, optimistic, looking forward to harmony. And even though there will be many people in our world who will attempt to disrobe our intentions, they'll be just here. They may come into your life just to present you with negativity, and it may be frustrating sometimes. But this is the most critical piece, is us setting our moods, right? Our mood is so important because it's going to frame the experience of reality that we just had. And so when now this energy, remember, this is just all converted to energy passing over the optic nerve, as this energy is passing and it drops into the well of the self, the well of the self and the beliefs, values, and the virtues are going to interpret the energy that's passed to it. So if it's been manipulated beyond recognition from its original form, by the time it gets to those virtues and belief systems, it's converting something totally different. And it's going to convert that into biochemistry, right? Because it's going to release certain hormones into the bloodstream. And we're going to go through this process with the wrong image, the wrong information. So it's super critical that we set that. I guess my other most important value for you when we consider our thought process and the emotions that come with it is the ability, the superpower, certainly that I discovered in my studies, that said I had the authority to deny certain energies, to deny toxicity, to deny that which I didn't want. I possess the authority to deny that in myself. I can't stop people from doing things. I can't stop people from being toxic. What I can do is stop the effect that toxicity has on me, my feelings, and my thought process. I can just push it away and continue on in a very happy, optimistic, harmonious way. The choice is ours. The choice is always ours. So, today, as you embrace the power of Thor and go about your day, what I want you to think about is this liberating thought, certainly for me, that the fact that I don't have to accept toxicity. I don't have to accept negativity. I can set my mood to see the beautiful things in life, to see that which is important, that which brings me joy and happiness. All right? So, celebrate Thor by all means. He is a wonderful god, and a wonderful source of energy, but also a role model for how we can maintain our independence, our thoughts, our emotions. All right? So, I wish you the very best Thursday. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, where we will embrace the magic and the energy of Freya. And today, I just want you to recognize the wonder that you are. The absolute authority you have within your mind to possess your interpretation of reality. All right? So do that for me today, and we will see you again tomorrow, bright and early, for Felinas Belly
Watching for Felina's Belly Snake, a special production of Whispers of the Norse. Brought to you by the Alaska ulfhednar in South Central Alaska. Guidance and wisdom, courtesy of an ancient Celtic Norse shaman. Thank you so much for joining us today.